So today we are going to do a few concepts, that is concept of goods, the different types of goods that are purchased by a business. Then we are going to be doing the concept of double entry system, that is debit and credit. And then we will be doing a few entries. So let us understand the concept of goods. So very important it is to understand. First thing is, say suppose now we are a company. So this is company A, B, C. And like always, you are the accountant now here. Now this company can buy two types of goods. One is goods which are traded and the other is goods which are generating revenue. So you need to understand what is the difference between traded goods and goods that are generating revenue. Now when a company buys these goods, when a company buys this type of goods, traded goods, they buy it for the purpose of selling. So they sell it to the customer. The goods are sold to the customer. But when the company buys these revenue generating goods, in that case, those goods are for the company. So those goods are kept for the company. These goods here, these goods, these goods are not sold. In fact, this helps the business to generate more income. These goods here, they help the company to generate more income. Now you need to understand what are these traded goods called. When this company ABC, buys traded goods, we term it as purchase, purchase of goods. Or else, there's another term also, we can just say purchases. Some books will say purchase of goods, some books will just say purchases. But be careful here. You can either use one of these. You use either purchase of goods or you use purchases. Either one, you cannot use both. Okay. That you will understand when we are preparing ledgers, because otherwise we will be preparing two different types of ledgers. This is one, this is the you can use either purchase of goods or purchases. Now when we buy something called as a revenue generating goods, now these goods, we do not term it as purchase or purchases, we term it as a asset. So let us try and understand what is an asset and what are this purchase of goods with some few examples. So let's go to example 1. Now in this case we are having Bajaj Electricals. Now Bajaj Electricals is a company and this is a dealer in Goa. So they are not a manufacturing company. This is just a trading company. They are just buying and selling goods. So they are dealing with what? Specifically Bajaj fans. Now here say, in this case they have purchased fans 100 pieces. So they have purchased 100 fans to be sold. And here in this case they have purchased two numbers or two laptops. Now understand one thing here is, this is obviously Bajaj Electricals, and what are they dealing with? They are dealing with fans. In this case, these laptops what have been purchased, these laptops are purchased to be installed in the company itself. But while we talk about these fans, these 100 fans are purchased so that they are sold. So in this case, this we can term as purchase. And in this case, we term this as asset. Because these two laptops, say this company has purchased two laptops. Why? So since you're an accountant here now, you have to understand, where are you accountant? You're an accountant for this company. So you have purchased two laptops. Your company has purchased two laptops. These laptops are purchased for the accountant. One is for the accountant and the other is for the assistant accountant. So you need to understand, in this case, these laptops are helping the company to generate profits. Why? Because previously, say, you all were doing all the entries by hand or you were doing the billing through paper. So now what you'll have done is you'll have purchased two laptops so that you can do the billing on the laptop, and this is going to increase your speed of the procedure in accounting. So these laptops are purchased for the company in order to generate revenue, and these assets, these fans are purchased so that it can be sold. We'll take another example. See, in this case, now we have something Apple. Now, Apple is the company here. Now, this is a retail outlet. Okay, this is a showroom, and they are the dealers in Goa. Now, in this case, this showroom is purchasing from the main outlet. They are purchasing 50 laptops. Now, obviously, they are not going to keep these 50 laptops for the employees of the showroom, right? These laptops are purchased so that they can be sold. Now, in this case, this same company, okay, the same showroom has purchased five fans as well. Now, these five fans are purchased so that they are installed. These fans are installed in the showroom. So in this case, this is a asset. Now, fans here for this company. See, again, you are the accountant of this company in this case. Now, in this case, when you purchase fans, your company is purchasing fans. This is known as a asset. And in this case, when your company is purchasing 50 laptops, now this is not purchased for the company. It is purchased so that it can be sold. So in this case, it is called as purchase. Purchase of goods, or you can say purchases. Now these first two examples were companies, the retail companies. We'll just take a manufacturing company now. Now say, in this case, we have taken a manufacturing company. Now, manufacturing company is a car company. You can take any example. Okay, it's a car company. Now, this car company is purchasing raw material. Now, see, in order to manufacture these cars, in order to manufacture cars, they have to purchase. Say, they are purchasing steel. They are purchasing some glass for the windows, and they are purchasing some rubber. Now, these rubbers could be for the tires. Now, in this case, all of these, this is also termed as purchases. This is also termed as purchases, and this is also termed as purchases. Why? Because all of these are going to be combined, and what will be sold is cars will be sold. Are you getting it? So we are not purchasing steel, okay, for the company itself to generate income. No, we are purchasing steel so that we can manufacture the car which is going to be sold. This glass is also for the windows. We're purchasing the glass for the windows. We're purchasing the rubber for the tire. And what will happen is we are going to have a output. The output is your car, and this car is going to be sold. So therefore all of these will be termed as purchases. Suppose this company buys air conditioners. Suppose this company buys air conditioners, say 10 air conditioners. Now, this air conditioner will be installed in this industry, in this workplace. They are buying 10 air conditioners to be installed for their employees so that their employees can benefit and they can work without any hardships. So, what they're doing is these ACs will be termed as assets. Why? Because these ACs are bought not to be sold. It is bought for the employees so that the employees can have some comfort and they can the productivity can increase. So these ACs, these air conditioners are termed as assets. So now I hope you have understood what are traded goods and what are revenue generating goods. Traded goods can either be called purchase of goods or purchases, and revenue goods, when they are bought, they are called as assets. So let us come to the concept of double entry system. Now in double entry system we have two very important concepts. One is debit and the other is credit. And the most important thing is that debit is equal to credit. Okay. See, now we talk about a single transaction. In a single transaction we have debit and we have credit. Both we have. and say we have 100 rupees here. In this case also the amount will be 100 rupees. Now see, in case this side it is 300 rupees, it is not necessary that we have only one entry this side. We could have couple of entries. We could have 1, 2, 3, but the end of it is 300 should be equal to 300. Now this is, I'm talking about a single transaction, one single transaction. The total amount should be equal to the total amount on the other side. So total amount of debit side has to be equal to total amount of credit side. Okay, it could be the other way around as well. Say you could have more number of entries here. So say you have 200, you have 200, another 200, and in this case you have 300 and 300. So the number of entries don't matter, but what matters is the debit side has to be equal to credit side. So here it is 600, and here also it is 600. If we try and understand now the meaning of debit and how it came into existence, the meaning of debit was, the meaning basically here was something that you get. Especially in the barter system, it was something that you get. And in this thing is credit was meant by something that you give. Now, if you even look at your personal account or real account, say if you just go by the rules, now personal account, the rule is what? Debit, say this side is debit, so debit the receiver, and credit is the giver. Now we take real account. Real account, debit what comes in, and here credit what goes out. If you see, can you see here receiver? Now receiver, a person who is getting something becomes a receiver. A person who is giving something becomes the giver. Now in this case, a person who is getting something, that good will come in, right? And a person who is giving something, the goods will go out. So it is to do with get and give. For nominal account, you will have to remember the rule. So for nominal account, what it is? Debit expenses or losses, credit income or gains. So very important thing here now with respect to concept of double entry system, we have something called as debit and credit, and they both are equal for every transaction. Okay, and the next thing here is you'll have to remember this golden rules. Now before we go to the journal entries, there is one small thing I would like to ask you. Before we go to passing of journal entries, there is a small important concept that you need to understand. Now say here in this case, this is you. Now here you are playing the role of a owner as well as a accountant. Now say, now everybody cannot afford to have an accountant. So what they do is they play the role of owner and they play the role of a accountant. But always remember, owner is separate, especially when it comes to capital. Okay, when it comes to introducing capital, owner is separate and business is separate. Now you are accountant of the business. Now since you're playing two roles, now you may be the owner, you could be playing the role of a accountant. Now we'll say on day one, say this is a electrical shop. What you're having here is a electrical shop. Now on day one, you sold 5,000 rupees worth, say bulbs, tube lights, whatever. Okay, and what you have done is for this 5,000 rupees, you have received cash. On day two, you have done the same thing. You have sold, say, some wires, and you have received, here in this case, you have sold some wires and you have received 6,000 rupees cash you have received. And on day three, what happens here is your a person comes there and says, I don't have cash, So what you do is you have sold goods worth rupees 10,000, but you have sold it on credit. Or else it's like the person says, I will pay you. Say in this case, you have sold some tube lights, and this person says, I will pay you after 10 days or 1 month. So basically, you have sold it on credit. Now, in this case, here you have sold on cash, here you have sold on cash, and here you have sold on credit. Okay. Now, say you are given a book and you are recording all these transactions. Say now you do not know commerce, you are not a commerce student, and you have a book. Now, in this case, would you say, suppose your name now, your name is Ravi. Okay. Will you every time say Ravi sold goods to, now in this case, you have sold to Ram. Ram, here it is Roy, and here it is Tina. Now, day one, would you say Ravi sold goods to Ram worth rupees 5,000, and then you would say bulbs? Would you write all this? Or you could just say, it is understood, right, that you have sold. Do you have to mention your name every time? So again, you would say, Ravi sold, say, to Roy, goods worth rupees 6,000, and here wires. Now, if you look at this, these are both cash transactions, correct? So here in this case, do you require this person's name also? Is it important? What is important here is that you sold worth rupees 5,000 and you sold bulbs, and in this case you sold wires, correct? But if you look on day 3 again, do you have to mention that it is Ravi? Now Ravi is you yourself, right? So you don't have to keep mentioning this. So this Ravi, first thing is, remember one thing: in your own books you never write your own name. You never write the name of your company. Obviously I'm not talking about the accountant's name, but you do not write the name of the company. So suppose your company's name is ABC, you don't say ABC company sold to Ram. In this case you will not say ABC some company sold to Roy. Okay. But what is important here now, in this third day is sold to Tina. Obviously, will you write Tina's name here now? Is it important? What do you think? Because here 10,000, and here you would write tube lights. Here is the transaction complete. Has Tina given you the cash? See, in this case, you have received cash. In this case, you have received your money. But in this case, have you received your cash? No, you have not received your cash. So what you would have done is, if you were writing Tina, you would not only write her name, in probably you would even write her phone number, right? Or her address, right? So suppose she actually came to your place, to your shop, and said, you know what, Tina said, I would like to have tube lights, which is 10,000 rupees worth, and whatever number of tube lights you have given her. Now she says that she does not have money. So obviously you might have not just taken down her name. You will take down her name. You will take her phone number. You will take her address, right? Yes. So this is very important here. Okay. In this case, when you're selling on credit, we take all details, and obviously address and phone number we already have, so we do not record it in the accounts part. Okay. In the accounts part, we will record the name of the person, especially when we take on credit. Now, this is just one way of solving. But the most important part here, what I was trying to stress here is, you do not write your name. Your name is not written in your own books. In your own books, you will record everything else. For example, in this case, you will record that it is 5,000 rupees worth, that two bulbs, that too in cash. Here in this, you will record it is 6,000 rupees worth wires in cash. Here you will record 10,000 rupees worth tube lights, but here what you'll put, you'll not put cash, right? So you'll put person's name. Okay. So as we study journal entries, the next lecture would be on journal entries. So as we study journal entries, you will exactly understand what this means. Okay, how this Tina comes into picture, how cash comes into picture, how this amounts come into picture, and how this name of yours does not come into picture. As an accountant, we never write the name of our own business. It's not required. It's understood that your business is selling or your business is purchasing, whether it is purchase also. Okay, suppose there was a transaction where you're purchasing, so you don't have to say that Ravi purchased from so and so. It's understood that your business is purchased. So in your own books, we do not put our names. So with this, we come to the end of the lecture. The next lecture we will do journal entries.